Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm super excited for this video today. It's a new crochet project for you all and it is a crocheted ear warmer. So kind of a crochet headband, but it's nice and wide and big and cozy for the winter and autumn months. So this is one I've made previously. It's one stitch, which is super simple. It's just knowing where to put your crochet hook, so I'll talk you through that. And then there's a little bit of sewing at the end to create this really nice kind of twist in the headband. But it's a super easy pattern, beginner friendly, so if you're very new to crochet and you want to make yourself a cozy warm ear warmer, come along and I will teach you and talk you through step by step. Okay then, so all you're going to need for this video is a ball of yarn. I have chunky yarn. I think this is King Cole Tweed. I will leave this yarn in the description box below. It was from my autumn haul, so if you want to go and check that video out, I'll also leave that in the link below. You can use any yarn that you prefer as well, as long as it's in a chunky weight. I have a 6mm crochet hook which is corresponding to my yarn and a pair of scissors to chop off my ends. You will also need a darning needle at the very end of this video to sew your piece together and to get that really nice headband twist that we are going for. So without further ado, go and grab your yarn and your hook and then we can get started. Okay then, we're going to begin our headband with a slip knot. If you don't know how to do this, I do have a video on it. Make a loop in your yarn, grab through the loop and pull through, but you can do that in any way that you prefer. Insert your hook and tighten. So one thing to keep in mind with this piece is to keep your tension quite loose. So don't be grabbing and gripping really harshly onto the yarn and the hook. Just keep a nice gentle grip and then you'll have a nice easy loose tension. We're going to start by chaining a number of 63 chains. This can vary a little bit. It's a little bit tricky to get the complete measurements. For my head, this worked really well, so around 65 chains. But if you have a smaller head, or you want to just experiment with the amount of chains that you're doing, if you're making this for maybe a younger child, just downsize your chains. It won't affect the pattern in any way, so just have an experiment with the number of chains that you do. Maybe test it around your head to see how much chain width you need. But for me, 63 chains was perfect. So go ahead, yarn over and chain the amount of chains that you need for the circumference of your head. And 63. Okay then, so I've just chained a total of 63 chains. Okay then, so now we're ready for row number 1, and row number 1 is just working double crochets all the way along. So this is double crochet in UK terminology and single crochet in US terminology. You're going to skip the first chain from the hook and work into the second chain, because that first chain is going to count as your turning chain. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That is 1 double crochet. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Once again, just watch your tension, because in the next few rows it will be easier to work the stitch if you have a looser tension. Okay then, so for row number 1, I'm just going to work double crochets all the way along my foundation chain, and I'll meet you back when you have finished that. Okay then everybody, so I've just worked my first row of double crochets, and now we're ready to move on to row number 2. So row number 2 till row number 15 are exactly the same, worked in exactly the same way. They are double crochets, but we're working in a slightly different space to usual, which I will show you in a minute. So as I've just mentioned then, the width of this is 15 rows. So we've just done one and now we're ready to move on to row number 2. So chain 1 and turn your work so you're looking at the wrong side. And now we're ready to begin row number 2. So usually when we're working double crochets, we'd work into both of these loops, both into the top of the stitch, and that is how we would work our next row. Sometimes we work in the back loop, sometimes we work in the front loop, but what we want to bring out is these V's here. So if I just show you one that I've worked earlier, you can see that the V is brought completely out, which means that we have to work in a back loop of the stitch. So in your stitch on the back, you should see that you have 2 loops. So one of them is going to be the back loop of the V, and one of them is what I like to call the back bar. So this is the back bar, and we're going to work into that stitch. I'm going to work the first one because it's a little bit difficult to see, but all you're going to do is find the back bar. So it's this one right here. Not the back loop, not the front loop, but the back bar. And it can be quite tight to work your hook into, which is why I've mentioned to keep your tension moderately loose. Now we're ready to work into the next one. So if you can see, if my camera's picking it up, you can see that there's a V at the top, and that's the stitch that we usually work into. And then you kind of have a second V at the back. You have the top loop here and the back bar here. You're going to work into that back bar. So insert your hook and just work a double crochet into that back bar. You will know if you're doing it right because the stitches will be brought forward and you will end up with that V. So here is my back bar. I'm going to insert my hook. As I said, it can be a little bit tricky. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Then find your next back bar. Once you know exactly where your hook is going and which back bar you're working into, this piece is super simple. Find your next back bar. What I'm doing is kind of guiding the loop over my hook just because it can be a little bit tight and fiddly. So what I'm doing is finding the back bar, grabbing it with my finger and just gently bringing it over my hook. And then you're just working a double crochet into that. So if I show you the opposite side now, you can see that the V of the stitches have been brought out by working in that back bar. So you're going to continue working this all the way along. Don't worry if you haven't got there quite yet. Just have an experiment with where you're going into. Hopefully you can kind of see the back bar of the double crochet. And you will know if you are doing it correctly because the front side of your work should have a nice little row of V stitches. So I'm just going to work that all the way along for row number 2 and I will meet you back when I have finished my row of back bars. Okay then, so I've just completed row number 2. This is how the side that we're working on is looking, and then as we turn over for row number 3, so chain 1 and turn your work, you should now be able to see the first row of V's that have been brought out by working into the back bar. Now that is basically all you're going to do for every single row. There are 15 rows in total. We've worked 2 now. I'm going to work 1 more with you just so that you can see again where we're working into, and then you should be able to finish off the rest of the rows. Okay then, so for row number 3 we're just going to work double crochets into the back bar. So you should be able to see the little V you've got, and you've got a little bump from the double crochet that you've worked. Insert your hook, yarn over and work a double crochet. find the next little bump. So usually we work into the stitch through both of the loops like so, so we have a nice V stitch. We're going to look at the back and find the V and find the bottom loop of the V at the back. It can be quite confusing and I apologise for that, but once you get the hang of it, it's super easy to know where you're going. Guide it on with your finger is what I like to do. Okay then, so you should have got the hang of it by now. If you haven't, go back and rewind the video and just have a play about with where your hook is going. You should be able to see the V on the other side now as well. So you will have V's on both sides when you finish your piece and you'll have them corresponding. So I'm going to go ahead and work the rest of the row and meet you back when I've done that. Okay then, I have just finished row number 3. So this is the side that I've just been working on, and if you turn over you'll see that there is a row of V stitches from where you've worked on the wrong side. So I'm going to leave you there now to complete the width of this headband. So we've worked 3 rows together. You're going to work another 12 rows in the exact same way. Just working into the back bar of every single stitch and bringing the stitches forward by doing that. So work a total of 15 rows in this way and I will meet you back when you've done that. So this is what mine is looking after 15 rows. You can see that the V's have been brought out forward. So now we're ready to chop off our ends and sew it together. So all I'm going to do is chain 1, and I'm going to leave a good enough tail just because I'm going to use that to sew on with, and then just pull that through and give it a little tug so we've made a knot in the work. Okay then, so now we're ready to create the twist, which is super simple. So the right side is going to be facing, and all you're going to do is at the corners you're going to fold it in half like this and fold it in half like this. So you've got them both folded in half, and then all you're going to do is slide those two together like so. It's really simple. You're going to slide those two together like so, and then you're going to thread your needle, and then you're ready to sew. So you can position it in whichever way that you prefer. I like to just have a fiddle about with it and see where I want my work to go, and then you're going to sew through all 4 of these pieces. So you're going to go through all 4 like so. Just going back and forth through the piece. So I've just finished sewing through these 2 pieces, those 4 pieces, sorry. So they're all nicely together. I've just got my 2 ends, so you can do this in any way that you prefer. I like to give them a tie together just so that they're nice and secure, and then sew them in together. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew these 2 ends in, and then we'll be ready to untwist it. Okay then, so that's all nicely sewed together, those 4 pieces that we folded in half. And then all you're going to do is untwist the headband, and you should have a nice knot to twist in the middle. And there is your crocheted headband slash ear warmer. I really like these because I'm not really a hat wearing person, but these keep my ears nice and warm during the winter months. I hope you enjoyed this video today. I hope you found it helpful and you've been able to make some of your own. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave me a like if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment down below any other video suggestions, and also comment down below what colour you made your headband in. Subscribe to my channel so you never miss a video. I've got so much future content that I'm super excited to share. Crochet videos, knitting videos, yarn hauls, everything on the lead up to Christmas. So I am super excited. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss those. Also, if you get the chance, follow me on Instagram. I'm at hooks.andneedles1. I will leave a link in the description box down below if you want to go and check that out. You can keep up to date with all of my crochet projects and also know exactly what videos are going out and when. Thank you all, and I will see you very soon for another video. Stay safe, keep crafting and keep warm. Bye!